In our society, there are many professions that are considered to be highly honorable, such as firefighters or police officers. However, many people don't know about the work of animal shelters. Some people even think that all employees of animal shelters are bad people who don't like animals and only want to make money. But this is far from the truth. Employees of animal shelters are some of the kindest people you can ever meet. And this story is the best proof of it. Once upon a time, there was an employee at a Wisconsin animal shelter named Jen. Her kindness knew no bounds. It wasn't just that she loved animals, no, she treated each one of them as if they were her own. She spent hours grooming homeless dogs, playing with them, and most importantly, giving them all the love they needed. All the other employees at the shelter tried to learn from her, and everyone who visited the shelter noticed how friendly the animals there were. And then one day, the shelter got a call about a dog that had been abandoned by its owner. The caller said that the owner left the dog outside in the rain without food or water. The poor dog was freezing and didn't know what to do. When Jen heard this, she immediately went to get the dog. As soon as she saw the animal, she felt sorry for it. It was skinny, dirty, and scared. Jen took the dog back to the shelter, gave it food, water, and a warm blanket. Then she started grooming it, and it was clear that this was a Doberman. But the dog was still very afraid of people, so Jen decided to take matters into her own hands. The next morning, she came up with a plan and took the dog for a walk. She didn't have a leash, so she held the dog's collar in her hand. They walked around the park for a long time, and at some point, Jen sat down on a bench, and the Doberman came closer and started licking her hand. That was the first time the dog showed any kind of affection. Jen couldn't believe it. After all, they'd only known each other for a few hours. But the Doberman seemed to sense Jen's kindness and decided to trust her. Then Jen started taking the dog for walks every day, and they quickly became best friends. The Doberman would wag its tail happily when it saw Jen, and it always wanted to be close to her. The dog got along well with everyone at the shelter. The staff members fell in love with it, and so did the visitors. Many people came to the shelter just to pet the Doberman because they knew that it would be friendly and wouldn't bite. However, not everyone was happy about the dog being at the shelter. One day, a woman entered the shelter and asked for the Doberman. When Jen handed the dog over to her, the woman stroked it and said, "Thank you for taking care of my dog. I'm sorry I left him at the shelter, but I promise I'll never do that again." Jen couldn't believe it. Hadn't this woman abandoned a dog? How could she just come and take it away like that? Although the woman looked sincere, Jen couldn't help but worry about the dog's future. After all, she'd seen too many cases where people abandoned their pets. Days went by, and the woman didn't come for the Doberman. Then one day, she appeared again. It turned out that she had come to adopt the dog. The woman said that she had thought it through and realized that she couldn't live without the dog anymore. Of course, the woman had to fill out a bunch of papers, but eventually she was allowed to take the Doberman home. Before the woman left, she turned to Jen and said, "You are an angel for that dog. Thank you for saving him." Jen just smiled and replied, "It was my job. You're the one who saved him by giving him a second chance." The woman nodded, took the dog and left. After that day, the woman often brought the dog to the shelter. It was clear that she was very happy with her pet. Sometimes the woman would come crying, and then Jen would comfort her and the dog. The Doberman stayed with the woman until the end of its life. It lived a happy and carefree life. The dog's name was Bruno, and he loved his new owner very much. Many years passed, and then one day, Bruno's owner came to the shelter with a puppy. The old dog was already 14 years old, so the puppy must have belonged to one of its offspring. But Bruno didn't seem to mind at all. He wagged his tail and licked the puppy. When Bruno passed away, his owner brought him to the shelter for the last time. The woman was very sad because she couldn't bury the dog in her yard. The cemetery was far away, and she knew that the shelter employees would treat Bruno with respect. Jen took the dog's body, put it in a bag, and buried it in the shelter's garden. Then she came up with the idea of planting a tree on top of the grave. Some time later, the woman came to the shelter with a small sapling. She planted it next to Bruno's grave and watered it. Then she sat down on a nearby bench and told Jen how much she loved Bruno and how grateful she was to her for saving the dog. I was going through a difficult period in my life when I found Bruno at the shelter. I had just lost my husband and couldn't find the strength to take care of myself, let alone a dog. But looking at Bruno, I realized that I needed to get my act together. His eyes were so sad, and he needed me so much. I took him home and soon realized that I wasn't just adopting a dog, but gaining a loyal friend and a furry family member. Bruno was always there for me, ready to listen and offer his unconditional support. He helped me overcome grief and loneliness. He gave me a reason to keep going, and I will never forget that. Jen listened attentively, and when the woman finished speaking, she replied, "You know, you're welcome. Saving an animal is a big responsibility, but it's also a huge blessing. I can see how much Bruno loved you and how grateful he was to you for giving him a second chance. He was a lucky dog to have you as his owner." They talked for a long time, sharing memories of the wonderful Doberman. They both missed him very much, but they were glad that he was no longer suffering and was in a better place. This story is a testament to the power of friendship between humans and animals. It shows that a simple act of kindness can change the life of a pet forever and bring joy to the owner. If you are an animal lover, share this story with your friends and family so that they too can be inspired by it. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more heartwarming stories. Goodbye.